The things to look out for when watching Pearl is watching for these spaces. If the defense is able to get lines deep onto the space, they're in a good spot. Can the attack take one or both is basically the question. This space here is largely irrelevant in my opinion, because it's so, like, as an attacker, it's just not very good to go through because it's so tiny. So ignore teams doing stupid shit like that. Generally speaking, if you lose the B site, trying to retake this site, especially if you don't have flank, is a nightmare. So that's something to consider. And then on the A side of the map, I think that retaking this side of the map is pretty decent. There's differences in some opinion, but I genuinely think that even if you retake with everyone back here, you're in a decent spot. Unless they planted open. Ideally, you want to have this and some of this, and if you do, you're probably pretty good. The more complicated things about art that happens, some of the better defense teams honestly just end up playing a bit of like a contained around this space. I think bad teams die out, basically. The other thing to look out for is, can the attack team actually take this space? And how much utility they use? I think that teams that use a full smoke here, and then have to use loads of utility here, means that their default's not very good. I don't love a default in which you have to use a starter, because the point of doing a default is usually that later on you could do a fast trap behind it. You cannot really do a fast trap behind an omen smoke because you need 2 smokes to go this side. If you use just 1 smoke, I think you're kind of in a bad position, although it's viable. So like whatever conditioning default you have for B long needs to also turn into a full exec too. And then it also doesn't even stop someone opening on top of the box, I don't think. I don't love this star. Unless it's literally a very complicated bait that like someone sees Euro and then they use the star and then they don't check this. Why not just have the star in a position that can actually help them? I mean, it doesn't look nice. Their fighting here doesn't look nice. Saturate should be coming out as soon as there's contact here. And he's just white swinging. The fighting here didn't look great. I don't know how I feel about this. I think in general this space is like not that valuable for attack. It simplifies the eco actually, because a common eco strat right now is to go this way, and the defense should just avoid being run down by shitty guns. So I don't hate on anti-eco. I don't love seeing teams who just play this. I know it's anti-eco, so I don't really expect it, but I want to see, like, if attack takes this, I want to see someone on a deep line here. Right now, I am going to say Fangir is doing exactly what I think that I helped Paper X with. Before Paper X were like going on that win streak and doing good Euro stuff, they were pretty much playing the Euro like a jet. And what that means is just playing relatively passive, anchored, playing for the TPs on its own site, and playing quite passive. I want to see when this attack takes this space, I want to see Fangir actually taking some space. Yeah, he's essentially playing chamber, a worst chamber. Like, the opportunity cost here is the TP's not being used for anything fast rotation. So no fast rotation, that's the first issue. He's not using his escapability for aggression. No aggression. And then the third thing is that he's not using what I call like babysitting, is kind of the way I describe it. The way I see Euro in a lot of situations is that you want to be a babysitter. You're going aggressive with a +1, and then you TP across and let the +1 stay. You don't always have to be the babysitter, you could be the person who stays, but ultimately, like, if you're fighting B long, I don't mind someone else being this person, and then you can TP the other side, right? He's not doing any of the things that I want to see from a good Euro. I don't hate this, and sometimes it's valid to do this, but I think on a bonus round with low money, I would prefer to see something on the map that's a bit more exciting than this. They're going to win this game 11-1 on defense, so everything I say is irrelevant. But I think once they start playing against global teams, like, I think this is not as strong. I mean, everything I say, Cal, never applies to the individual and always presumes the coach. Anytime that I say that Fangir's doing this, what I mean is the coach is not making Fangir play the way that I want him to, you know? I presume that there is that level of agency from the coach to make his team play the way that they should. And look at this conditioning stars. This is something else with Paper X2. Not a single conditioning star past the neutral space. Like, I know the barrier here, technically this is slightly in front, but this is forward to just hold behind the barrier. Every star is behind a barrier. 0 proactive stars. It's very poor. I quite like this double up, and I like this star though. I call this a G2 star, a nice little one-way, and doubling up here is good. The only issue is this turret is essentially meaningless. If you're gonna play a heavy art setup, couldn't this just be Astra? If you want the molly, you throw a cross-map molly, start a round, and then let Killjoy be the person here, and have more delay on B. Wouldn't that be better? Like, honestly, all the things I'm seeing here, this is me, like, rubbing my hands together, being like, oh, I'd make a good consultant for this team, you know? Astro Conditioning Star? It means placing a star deep that can be used for multiple different things. The conditioning is by putting it there every single time. You condition them to think that there's not, it's just there. And then it can be used as a stun. So like, let's say you want to fight for A control because the other team can keep sending 5 people there. If you never put an aggressive star down, and this time you put a star down, these people should be smart enough to say, hey, look, they've put an Astro star down. Maybe they're going to fight us. Watch out, guys. There's going to be 3 people here. If instead you put the star down every single round, you condition the attack to not think it's like a threat. Like, that's pretty much what I mean. And hopefully the stars have multiple uses, right? So like, if you put a deeper star down here, you could use it as a dissipate, and then you could have like someone take a line through the dissipate. So instead of just peeking here and being held by someone, by using it as a dissipate, you can take an angle that's a little bit more unexpected. Or it could be also used as like some kind of stun for fighting belong. The best teams of all time are teams that understand how to condition the utility. They're usually teams that are like not able to consistently go deep in tournaments or can't go as far as they should, are ones that don't condition very well, in my opinion. It is not the only factor, but it is a factor for sure. Historically, DRX are a team in the past that were not very good at conditioning. Like, their conditioning was too obvious. PaperX are a team that had some issues with conditioning, but they play so random sometimes that they almost have their own conditioning. But there have been times where, like, on some maps where it's like, okay, like, you basically get like a very solid read on what's happening because they're not conditioning certain things. Boaster is probably one of the best IG. Yeah, Boaster is very good at it. Boaster understands conditioning more than most other people. And even if he's readable at times, the execs he's about to do are usually so strong that it's like, even if you know what's going to happen, it's like, good luck trying to stop it. Yeah, Boaster understands conditioning. If anything, Boaster might try too hard with conditioning, you know. Sometimes you can just send it and you don't have to think about like all the conditioning. Like on Haven, for example, Haven used to be a map where like the conditioning traditionally was a smoke here and then like a recon would be used for like long or something, you know. Depending on what util was used, you could kind of like figure out what teams are doing. But because you end up using utility for conditioning, the opportunity cost is that if you go fast C, but you're still doing conditioning, you lose stuff. So you have to be like, it takes someone very thoughtful to figure out how and when to do, like when you need conditioning or not conditioning. I would argue that if you're playing Astra and you're not doing deep stars, then you're probably not playing Astra very well. Just a full A fight. So now look, see what I mean? You see this, guys? Now, pretend you're attack side right now, and you don't know what's happening here. And for the first round, you're Yoru, and you see these 2 stars. What do you think is about to happen? And this should seem grade school level. They are going to push. Yes. So what can we do? What should we do? Go B. Yes, we should just go B. We should go B. Like, this is, to me, I love this example. These are teams going to Santiago, and I've just explained like a really high level idea to you in a very, very easy way, and you understand it. I hope that my analysis can get to the point where I'm able to do this consistently, like both on stream and broadcast, because like this is like Valorant 101 strategy stuff, but it's like not usually talked about, if that makes sense. Like it is a little bit more in the weeds, I guess, but to me, like this is just 101. Should we not expect much from China then? I think strategically, at this very second, I've watched 4 rounds. This is the problem, right? This is the next layer, is you can be horrendous strategically in Valorant and still win, because ultimately you shoot your gun. And ultimately, if the opponent is stupid and not reading into this stuff, then you still get value. Do AG win just by player diff then? Well, no, it might just be that China as a region don't understand these macro ideas. Maybe all the other teams are playing just as bad macro. This meta is not about good macro, really. Like, you can play horrible macro and win. But this is a little bit concerning for me. Like, this is a level where, like, I think that a good coach should be able to dismantle this pretty easy. How can a whole region not understand such concepts? I'm really not trying to make it seem as if China itself is just, like, so bad, because every single region has these teams. There are other concepts, macro-wise, that most teams don't understand as well. It is a little bit concerning for me here because it is a little bit more fundamental than some of the other mistakes I see other regions make. But every single region has horrible stuff. Like, so I don't want this to become like a China are terrible VOD review or something. I just thought it was interesting that some of these strategic ideas that I'd expect to be done are not being done very well. All the things I'm saying, by the way, everything I just said, most of that stuff when I was working with PaperX at start on Pearl, most of it did apply to PaperX too. So it's not like I'm just isolating out China. Like, there's a lot of this stuff that PaperX are doing too. You know what I mean? I really don't want this to seem like an anti-China region fucking VOD review or something.